How many games does this team have to lose to fire Matt LaFleur?
To fire Matt LaFleur, everything possible outside of injuries would need to go wrong, and he would need to moon the entire Green Bay fan base after losing Week 17 to the Bears in embarrassing fashion and say, screw you, Packers fans. I love the Chicago Bears. That's the only way he gets fired.
I don't think they'd fire him for that.
You might be right. I don't know why you would fire Matt LaFleur. Everything possible could go wrong this season.
But I want them to.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
We'll move on to the Green Bay Packers. They suck. You want to go on the Vikings now?
Man, you know how many YouTube viewers we're going to lose for that. But I'm not cutting it out. Let's start with Jordan Love.
Sucks.
Man.
Played his best game of his career against the Cowboys, and that's all he did. Played terrible in the playoffs.
Dude.
The next week.
Stephon Gilmore was so bad in that game.
He wasn't the only one, brother.
He might have been the main culprit.
They're not good. They got away with a lot last year. They were dead week 8 and dug their way out of their own grave. Jordan Love played well, serviceable down the stretch. Got super hot the last 4 games. Super hot first round of the playoffs. Absolutely laid an egg against San Francisco. And the only reason why it was close because San Francisco played their worst game of the year that game. They're not good. Matt LaFleur is fantastic.
Matt LaFleur is incredible. And as long as Jordan Love can keep doing what Matt LaFleur tells him to, he will be good. Like that's where it's at for me. Like I think he will keep doing well as long as he can keep doing what Matt LaFleur is scheming up for him. It's just a question of, is there a point where the coach can't cover for him anymore? And will that point come before he starts to figure it out? Because if he starts figuring out before then, he's just going to be a good quarterback at some point.
No, I don't allow it. They're the third best team in this division.
I mean, it's weird. It's like, what's a good example? Like,
Dak Prescott early in his career is probably the biggest comp to Jordan Love. And if Jordan Love can become what Dak Prescott is now, then he has made strides. Because as much shit as I've talked about Dak in the last 7 years, he's nowhere close to the same quarterback he was his first 3 or 4 years starting in Dallas.
Yeah.
But he's never had he's never had the advantage of a coaching staff like Jordan Love currently has.
I think Jordan Love has a little more arm talent. Like, not a ton, but a little more arm talent than Dak.
Oh yeah, I mean, Dak doesn't have the greatest arm. I wouldn't even put Dak's arm in the top 15 in the league.
Okay, then he has more arm talent than Dak.
Yeah.
which is scary to me. Like, if
arm talent,
it's kind of like,
it's between the ears. They're right. You got to do a lot more than just have a good arm.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. If you can spend enough years in this league having moderate to good success, the mental side should come. If you're not a complete idiot, if you're not
Jared Goff, probably top 5 arm talent in the league, and it took him. Jared Goff.
Arm strength? Sure. Arm talent? No.
Jared Goff's got elite arm talent.
No. I'm sorry.
You don't think so?
No. Arm strength? He's really good. Arm talent? Completely different thing.
So what's the difference between talent and strength?
Talent is the ability it's the pliability of your arm. Hit different arm angles. Find different slots. Find different ways to release the football out. Like, Jared Goff has very little variability in his stroke.
Okay, yeah. I mean, when I think of arm talent, I just think of somebody who can, in a perfect scenario, put the ball wherever they want, anytime they want, put touch on it, But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it too, but it's like it's the combination of all of it. You know, that's arm talent. Arm strength is a different metric for me.
So Patrick Mahomes would be the number 1 arm talent in the league by far.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Josh Allen is probably number 1 actually, but like, he doesn't use it as well as Mahomes does. But so, I mean, Jordan Love, I'm slightly worried. I think he might be good, but it's all just going to come with time. I think he needs time to learn, and if that time collapses on him, he won't be good. But if Matt LaFleur is able to keep bringing him along and he's able to keep having success, I think he's just, I mean, that sounds so stupid, right? Like, if he keeps being good, he's going to be good. But like, I think there is a degree of like the coach being able to bring him along versus the coach having to hit the gas pedal because it's not working.
So whenever you look at this division, you can't predict the future at all. But you look at what the Bears and Lions are doing right now. They're both currently set up for future sustained success. And that's one thing that really nobody in this division has been able to pressure the Packers with in the past 25 years. I mean, the Bears were up and down. Vikings were kind of up and down. Lions had a few blips on the radar, but like the Packers have just been like the model of consistency for a long time, but they've never really had a true threat in the division year in and year out. Like I think they will for the next 5 years. And I just, hopefully that's what is the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I do think they have the best D-line in the division. And I don't really think it's close, which is always, I mean, I'm a big trench person. I think if you have the trenches, you always have a chance. And they are built that way. Like their defensive line, Kenny Clark is just a dude. He can play 1 tech, he can play 3 tech, he can play all up and down the line and be effective in any spot as a pass rusher and as a run defender. His run defense has fallen off a little in recent years, but he's still really good at it. It's mostly just because he cut weight to become a better pass rusher. TJ Slayton is a really underrated nose tackle. Again, nose tackle stats do not show their impact, but TJ Slayton, I was really impressed by the tape that I watched of him recently. Like, shocked. I didn't realize he was that good. Devontae Wyatt really started to come on last year, really started to look like why he was drafted in the top 50 picks, I believe. And then behind that, you got Lucas Van Ness, who was just a first-round pick. Is he an interior guy? Is he an edge? I don't know. He plays a little of both. Carl Brooks, really scheme-specific player, but he's specific to the Packers scheme, really showed a lot as a rookie to like, and I think he's only getting better from here. And then Colby Wooden's there. He's a solid run defender. I don't think Colby Wooden is a whole lot. There's a whole lot to talk about, though. And on the edge position, Preston Smith, Rashan Gary, that is a deadly
combo. Is Rashan Gary on a second contract yet?
I believe so. Yeah.
I just want him to hit free agency so he can have another sleepover at Jim Harbaugh.
You know he's going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, Rashan Gary is one of the better edge rushers in the league. Are you going to say it, or do I have to?
I'm not saying nothing about this team.
Defensive Player of the Year, Rashan Gary?
No, we can give it to Keyshawn Brooks. Keyshawn Banks.
The edge room, I do think it is a little thin behind Smith and Gary. But, I mean, again, though, Van Ness can play the edge. And their scheme is kind of
I
weird.
love Van Ness coming out last year.
Will play a little edge.
What I hate about this Packers team is, on paper, their defense is good, and they'll play bad for 7 weeks. And then they just come on at the end of the season and just have like the number 1 defense in the league for like the last 8 games.
New D coordinator.
Like that's always what happens.
New D coordinator. The bad man is gone. I wish he wasn't.
Yeah, it just depends on when you catch them in the year, really.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If you're a Packers fan and you look at this offense, Jordan Reed, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, my bad. And then you go out and let Aaron Jones walk to pay Josh Jacobs. Yeah, Josh Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones. But we're talking about the most like replaceable position in football, probably. I don't know. I thought that move was crazy.
I don't know. I get it. I think you're just trying to lose Aaron Jones a year early as opposed to a year late.
No, and I mean, I would have I'm saying I would have just been fine. I had this argument with Pollard last year when they let Zeke go. I thought they did the worst thing in franchising Pollard and letting Zeke walk. I thought the first option should have cut Zeke and don't re-sign Pollard. Second best option was let Pollard walk, keep Zeke, and then the worst option was what the Cowboys did. I feel similar here. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather go spend that money elsewhere, shore up more of, because I mean it seems like a win now move, and I just don't know how much of a win now team this is.
They put a lot of value on running back. Everywhere Matt LaFleur's been has. I mean, he was in Tennessee. They had Derrick Henry.
Do you think Josh Jacobs is as good as his numbers? I didn't watch enough Raiders games.
Last year, his numbers sucked. I think he's better than his numbers last year.
Yes. Okay. I was thinking of 2 years ago when he had the monster year.
I don't think his numbers are as good as they were I think it's somewhere in the middle of the last 2 years. I think
yeah,
he's a good running back.
Which is a good running back.
I think he's a 3-down running back because this was a weak running back draft class. Teams paid for running back talent. Because they didn't feel like they could really find it in the draft as easily as some prior years. And I do think there's a bit of a resurgence on running backs right now. The Shanahan systems.
Didn't they give him more money than Saquon though? I mean, Saquon's been very much injured.
Probably, but it's probably the injuries.
So, I mean,
I think the Shanahan systems have put a lot of value on running backs. You look at the Rams; they had Gurley. The 49ers. They've got CMC.
Rams technically had Gurley, but I think they cut him like the day after they paid him too.
No, he was paid for a year or two in there.
Oh, was he? I was thinking he was on his rookie deal. They paid him and then they cut him immediately. But
and then they've been able to piecemeal it since him, but still, I mean, the Packers, they had Aaron Jones. I'm not sure Josh Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones. I don't think Josh Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones, but I think Josh Jacobs has a longer shelf life than Aaron Jones.
If we're talking Aaron Jones versus the Cowboys, nobody's better than him.
Or the Bears. Aaron Jones is just really freaking good. I don't think it matters who it's against. Aaron Jones.
I wanted him on the Cowboys
monster.
so bad. He plays so good in Dallas. I don't know why he didn't come to Dallas. I mean, he could have the best game of his life every 9 games a year.
I truly don't think Josh Jacobs is an upgrade over Aaron Jones, but I think that he is a better investment than Aaron Jones.
The youth? Yeah.
I
get that.
And at receiver, I mean, truly, Dontavian Wicks is good. Dontavian Wicks he's not even projected to start right now. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe it's Romeo Doubs, maybe it's him. Doubs was solid. Jaden Reed looked really good last year. Christian Watson, I think he's fine. I think he's a one-trick pony, but he's good at that one trick. But I think Dontavian Wicks has the chance to be the best receiver on this roster.
Offensive player of the year?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going that far, but I mean, I think that he is a really good player, and I think they got him at an absolute steal.
Yeah.
And then at tight end, they're young and they're athletic with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. Both guys showed a little last year. I mean,
how many games does this team have to lose to fire Matt LaFleur?
17, and maybe you still don't.
It's frustrating.
To fire Matt LaFleur, everything possible outside of injuries would need to go wrong, and he would need to moon the entire Green Bay fan base after losing Week 17 to the Bears in embarrassing fashion and say, screw you, Packers fans, I love the Chicago Bears. That's the only way he gets fired.
I don't think they'd fire him for that.
You might be right. I don't know why you would fire Matt LaFleur. Everything possible could go wrong this season.
But I want them to.
Me too. I want Matt LaFleur to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. That would be great. That would be dandy.
We got their last head coach. Maybe we can finagle Matt LaFleur to Dallas. Him and who's the Cowboys quarterback? Trey Lance. Yeah. Him and Trey Lance could do great things together.
They could. Looking at this O-line, I do think this is a bit of a weak point for this team, which is weird to say for the Packers. And I'm sure any Packers fan seeing this will be like, you're an idiot, you know nothing. But I do have, like, watching some of their games from last year, especially down the stretch, I had some questions about what this O-line is going. I think they've lost their identity a little bit. They've had a lot of change the last few years. You know, David Bakhtiari's gone. A lot of guys have kind of changed spots. Elgton Jenkins doesn't look like the guy that I expected him to, at least in the playoff games last year. And Zach Tom is solid. He's a solid football player, but I'm not sure that he is going to be a lot more than solid. Maybe he will, and solid is fine. Solid is a good starter, but like, I'm wondering if he might be at a bit of a ceiling. And Rasheed Walker, young, there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of upside, a lot of downside is the way I see it. He looked good in pass pro. Basically, I think where I'm sitting with this O-line is I think they'll be fine in pass pro. I think they're going to be just fine there. But I'm not sure about their run blocking as a unit. I really question their ability to move people off the line of scrimmage and open up gaps in the run game. And I'm just not sure how that's going to work with when you're a pass blocking O-line for a team that needs to be a bit more run focused in my mind and needs the run to set up the pass more than vice versa. I'm not seeing how exactly that works, I guess. And it might, I mean, there's a lot of talent on this O-line up and down, but I'm just not sure how it all comes together because there's been so much change in recent years.
So do you ever look at the Green Bay Packers and just think like, God, these colors are so ugly?
No, the worst. Absolute worst.
The worst.
Make me want to puke. Look like puke. Linebacker, Quay Walker, going to be starting. Rookie second round pick, Edgerrin Cooper should also be starting. Edgerrin Cooper, another one of those players who I think is a lot better moving forwards than backwards. I'm not sure what he can do in coverage, but what he does as a run defender and as a blitzer is really impressive. So I think there's a lot to like there with his player profile, but I do wonder, if as a coverage player, what can he be, especially with Quay Walker, like not exactly being a strong coverage player to this point in his career either. I do think they're a little susceptible over the middle of the field, but Xavier McKinney came in, so that's going to help him a lot over the middle of the field. He's a really good center fielder, really good safety.
I love Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, he's just a good football player.
I liked him, and then he went to New York, and I was like, oh, I can't like this dude anymore. But then New York was so bad, it was irrelevant, so I was like, okay, I can like you, but now I just gotta hate him.
Yeah. Just the word. Who would choose to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin?
Dude, I'm saying, makes no sense.
And then next to him, they're going to be starting Javon Bullard, rookie first round pick out of Georgia. High upside player. I think there's still some development to occur there with him. They also drafted Evan Williams out of Oregon, who I think is a strong split safety player.
How many people did they draft?
1 million. They always have 1 million draft picks, and 10 out of 1 million always hit, but it doesn't matter that that's a terrible rate because it's still 10 good players. And then they drafted
How mad would you be? How mad would you be if you just dominate a division for 35 years? You have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a 30-year span, and you only have 2 Super Bowls.
Not that bad.
I would be furious.
Man, they drafted Kitano Oladapo, who is one of my favorite secondary players in this class. They got him in like the 5th round. And I'm sour about it. I'm still sour about it. I'm always sour when they pick some of my favorite players, and they do it every single year.
It's like the Eagles. The Eagles are the same shit to me.
Yeah. The cornerback room, I do think, is the weakness of this defense. Jaire Alexander's really good, but behind him, I just
lucky for them, there's no good receivers in the NFC North.
Nope, we all suck at catching the football.
I mean, there's not. At least they don't have to worry about like a Justin Jefferson or like a DJ Moore, Keenan Allen combo, or like an ASB, or even like a Sam Laporte lining up on the outside, or a top 10 Roma Dunze lining up against them. Like, they don't got to deal with any of that. So like, at least their weakest position is like also opposite of the weakest position for the offenses in their division.
But here's the thing, though. Their D-line is good enough. That might not matter that their quarterback room isn't very good. Because they don't need to give extra bodies to the pass rush. They just don't need to.
Nice. Why do you just that?
I'm just being objective and looking at this roster.
They're bad.
Like they're some random team, and there's a lot. This is a quality roster.
We're not objective on this
bottom.
podcast. We're subjective.
Subjective, objective. What's the difference?
I don't honestly
All right.
know.
We've looked at enough Packers. What do you like here?
Under plus 110.
All right.
Love it. Hammer it. 9.5. They ain't winning 9 games. They're not.
Actually, I like
games.
missed the playoffs at plus 134.
Yeah, they're not winning 10 games.
All right.
The only reason why I wouldn't like the missed playoffs is because 8 or 9 wins hypothetically could get you in the NFC, and that's what they're going to do. The Cowboys are going to get the 2 seed. They're going to sneak in as like an 8 and 9 team, and they're going to beat us in the first round, and that's fun. I've just accepted that fate. Like, they're going to win 8 games. They're going to beat the Cowboys in the first round, and then they're going to get destroyed by like the Falcons in the second round of the playoffs, like 34-4. We're going to get 2 safeties with that D-line of theirs against an immobile Kirk's cousin.
I can see it. 34-4. It's quite the score.
I might have to bet on that. If they're going to beat the Cowboys in the first round and play the Falcons in the second round, I'll bet on that scenario exactly.
All right. So, what you got? Any big question marks in here? Let's see. You got the Rams beating them. Cardinals. We're both high on the Cardinals this year.
I like Cardinals a lot. Comeback season.
I mean, that schedule
boy.
looks decently chalk. Outside, I like the Cardinals, maybe the Titans. We both have the Titans beating the Packers just because we hate the Packers and know the Titans need to win games somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's a Packers loss for sure. And then they'll turn around and beat a great team.
All right, so you got them at 9-8, and I've got them at 10-7.
Oh, I gotta take some wins away from. Let's go back. Let me take a win away from them.
I want to too. I just
they're not beating
who.
the Jags. They're not beating the Jags in Jacksonville. I don't know why I gave that to the Packers. In Jacksonville, week 8. What is that? Early November, late October. Yeah.
I don't know
Packers
why
aren't
I
winning
did
that game.
that either. I just didn't. Oh, because I haven't losing the Texans. I don't think they'll lose 2 in a row there.
I have the Texans going like 15-2. I can't believe I gave them the Packers.
I've got the Lions. Lions and Bears both sweeping the Packers. 9-8, 8-9 now.
Yeah, that's about right.
That feels.
Yeah, they're gonna beat the Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs.
You need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here. Yeah, looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.